Muhannad Ayyash is a professor at Mount Royal University. He joins us now from Calgary in Canada. Really good to have you back with us, Professor. Turkey and several Muslim nations have accused Israel of repeatedly violating the US brokered ceasefire and blocking humanitarian aid. What does this tell us about Israel's approach to the truce and the limits of US influence over it?
Thank you again for having me. What this tells us is that we're going to now see the reasons why you can't have peace with Israel is because they don't want it. The Israeli state is actively, they always saw the ceasefire as some kind of obstacle that they have to deal with that is not going to get them off their main path, which is the elimination of the Palestinian question once and for all. They never got off that path. So they saw this ceasefire as another way for them to, well, they were forced by the Americans to accept it. And now, okay, so what are they going to try to do to make it impossible to implement it or make it work for them? And what they want the ceasefire to do is not what the majority of the world wants that ceasefire to do. The majority of the world wants the ceasefire to mean the end of the genocide. They want it to mean that there is a political solution and there's going to be concerted effort to arrive at this political solution, which most of the world says it should be a two-state solution, 1967 borders, full sovereignty for the Palestinians, addressing the right of return, addressing the crimes of the Israeli state for ever since its existence, the crimes that it has committed against the Palestinians, and so on and so forth. That's the majority of the world's understanding of what peace and justice would look like. Israel does not share that vision one iota. Their understanding of quote-unquote peace is that they get to do everything they want, which is take over the entirety of the land from the river to the sea, establish exclusive Israeli Jewish sovereignty. They've never committed any crimes. They've never done anything wrong. It's the Palestinian quote-unquote terrorists that are the cause of everything that is bad in the region, and so on and so forth. And they want the elimination of the Palestinian question. And what we're seeing in this month, and indeed what we've seen for a long time, but certainly this month, is these international actors are getting a taste. More of a taste of what it's like to try to deal with Israel, and to see that Israel says one thing but really means another, and that it is committed to one path and one path only, and that is everything that Israel wants and the end of the Palestinian question once and for all.
Now, the Istanbul summit also discussed forming an international stabilisation force for Gaza under a UN mandate. In your view, could such a force realistically bring stability, or would it risk entrenching foreign control over Palestinian territory?
So this is the problem with the discussion over the foreign troops. If the foreign troops are being brought in to protect Palestinians for a transitional period, I don't think they would be viewed as foreign invaders. But what Israel, again, it's what Israel thinks of these things that is the main obstacle to everything. So let's just lay out what is the reality of the ground. The reason there is a security disaster in Gaza and in Palestine in general is because of Israeli violence. That is the root cause of all the insecurity and all the instability. It's Israeli settler colonial expulsion and violence of the Palestinians. That's the root cause of everything that is wrong. It's Israel that has been carried out a genocide for the last 2 years. We need security for the Palestinians. That's the reality of the situation. And if there is a foreign intervention that is going to secure Palestinians' lives and protect them from Israelis, they would be welcomed, of course, by the Palestinians. But Israel and the Americans, essentially, they agreed to this idea of an international force to come in and basically do some of Israel's dirty work for it. Now, understandably, these countries don't want to do that, and they don't want to go and do Israel's dirty work. And Palestinians wouldn't want a foreign army coming in to do Israel's dirty work. I think most of the plans around this are extremely vague and extremely unstable for a reason. Is that because they're not designed to really address the core problem? Now, I do believe that countries like Turkey and Qatar and others are trying to imagine this security force in a way that would help the Palestinian drive to self-determination, which is why Israel is going to oppose it, and why Israel is already saying, for example, no Turkish, no Qatari forces, that they're going to have, a veto power over who gets to come in. And essentially, what Israel will never, cede authority to any foreign power that is going to try to come in and take over the security situation. Israel will never allow that, because as far as they're concerned, their military control, they're controlled by the use of force over the entirety of Palestine, is the critical element that allows them to continue to eliminate and drive Palestinians out of their land and eliminate the Palestinian question and the Palestinian desire for liberation. So, so what we're sort of seeing, these, though there are many technical aspects that are being legitimately debated among experts in this arena, I think they all could have practical solutions if there was an actual agreement on what peace and justice and a political solution looks like. But since Israel is against what the majority of the world wants, including even against partly what the Americans want, the Americans, although I just want to be clear, the Americans are not also on the same page as countries like Turkey and Qatar and Saudi Arabia and China and Norway and Spain. They all operate on one idea of a two-state solution, and the Americans, I mean, under the Trump administration, they say, I mean, he says, whether it's a two-state solution or any other solution, right? So the Americans are also separate from the majority of the world on this question, and theirs is a much more, less peaceful kind of idea of what a solution is. But even they are different from Israel. Israel stands alone in its vision for what should happen here, and they're going to continue to, get in the way of any kind of plan succeeding that would lead to Palestinian liberation. So we have to have this, I think, sober judgment about the situation. And the world needs to now ask itself, what do you do with a force, Israel, that is refusing to go along with what everyone agrees it should move towards? This is where we're at right now. So we're going to continue to see Israel frustrating all these attempts that are going to try to help move the Palestinian cause a little bit forward in these times.
Okay, Professor Muhannad Ayyash, we'll have to leave it there. Great to get your views as always. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.